Welcome to Ask the Accountant, the podcast that is made for you. Weekly podcast live Mondays from 8:30 a.m., released on the podcast service of your choice on Wednesdays. Your main weekly hosts, Aaron, Patrick, and Johann. Got something to ask? Submit your questions below or ask during the show. Podcast loading. We are currently getting everything set up behind the scenes, so sit back, relax, and we will be with you in a few seconds. Enjoy.
Good morning, everybody, and a very warm welcome to Ask the Accountant, episode number 22. The date is 21st of March, 2023. And with me is not my normal co-host, but we've got Ariona. Hello, Ariona. Another Ask the Expert royalty in the house. How's it going your end? How's your weekend been?
Hi, Aaron. Thanks for having me. Yeah, pretty good. Ready for the new week to start now with all these changes and updates that we've had last week. So a lot going on.
A lot going on indeed. So people, where can people find you? I think this is going to be the best place. I tease there, Ask the Expert royalty. So I think between you, me and Johann, what we've done, a third of the episodes that was there. For anyone who doesn't know, Ask the Expert was a daily show by QuickBooks. But where else can people find you? What else are you known for?
Well, people can find me on Instagram, on LinkedIn, Facebook, our website as well at majorsaccounts.com. My name as it's written here, you'll find me pretty much on all socials. But yeah, we did quite a few of those Ask the Experts, right? A lot of early mornings during COVID, trying to translate some things that no one really understood and trying to get a handle of them. Good times.
Yeah, my favourite part about that was talking to the nation about what furlough was. No, furlong, sorry. Furlong. Yeah. This new thing called furlong.
Yeah, exactly. No one had heard of it. I hadn't heard of it until that point, to be honest. But yeah, now we've become best friends, haven't we?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, ask the accountant, or sorry, Ask the Expert. Obviously, Ask the Accountant is from a legal point of view is a different aspect. You know, where we no way connected in any point, but it is definitely thankful for what we've got from it. So, as always, we are live to the nation at today it's 9:30, normally at 8:30, but that's so we could have this special edition so we can get to talk about with Ariona about the wonderful world of the budget that we're going to talk about. But as always, if you want to talk about the show, then you can drop us some comments in, just like Paul has. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for coming at the new time. Thank you for being here. If you do have a question, don't forget that we will drop the question box in just about now. So if you do have a question, then do put the question into the question box. So today, what topics have we got? Well, we're going to be talking about the fact that Ariona was not just at QBC, but was one of the main events at QBC. She was on the main stage, got to speak to some of the actual main guests there. So we're going to be talking about that one. Then we're going to go talk about the fact that the main topic of the show for today, which is the spring statement, and we can talk about exactly what was changed during there and how it can affect you and your business. And then we've got all about the fact that there are some other little changes going on, including the fact that Google and Microsoft have all jumped on the ChatGPT bandwagon and changed their software accordingly. So first and foremost, let's go into QuickBooks Connect. Now, I know this is the fourth week we've talked about it, but I mean, you got to admit, it was pretty jam-packed announcements being made, wasn't there? There was quite a bit to talk about.
Absolutely. Do you know what? I've looked forward to this for so long. I went to the first couple of I think 2 before 2019 that I went to. Absolutely loved it. And when they cancelled the last one just before COVID, I was like, no, but they took forever to come back. But glad they did, and didn't disappoint, if I'm honest. Loved the show, loved the announcements. Looking forward to seeing them in practice, though. We'll see, how much of a difference that's going to make. But yeah, this year I was on the main stage with a client of mine, talking about how we've used QuickBooks over the last few years to grow their business. They started from essentially nothing to now 2 million plus revenue and looking to grow massively in the next couple of years as well. And got to meet Miley in class, which I have to say, as a child, used to love her music.
Hearsay, yeah. Oh, it was good, wasn't it?
It
Oh,
was
so
like hearsay then.
what was that experience like then, kind of being wheeled out on stage? Did you get to, I assume beforehand, give us a bit of kind of insight into what it was like backstage? Did you get to meet Miley first? Did she kind of
Yeah. So we were taken to the green room, which wasn't green.
Oh,
Which
what?
was
Missed
like,
opportunity.
honestly, I was like, this is, first of all, your QuickBooks, you're all about being green. And I was expecting the room to be green. No, but it was pretty cool backstage. Got to meet Miley in class just before. She gave us a copy of her signed book. And yeah, just had a quick chat. So we got to, be acquainted. So it wasn't a surprise on stage. And then, going up on stage with quite a few people there. I've done speaking events before, but this, I think, was the biggest in-person speaking event. We've done ones during COVID where there were like, thousands of people watching us. But when you don't see them, it's different to being right there staring at you right in front of you. But it was a great experience. A little bit nervous before going on, but once you're on there, it's just like a chat, right? You're only talking about things that you've already experienced. There's nothing new there. So it was a great experience. And I had a lot of great feedback after from accountants as well. Just, interested in what we've done and how our clients have grown and how we've worked together.
Because it was relevant, right? It was that's what I think mainly came across from our point of view. It was, one of us on stage talking about, like you said, like the actual relevant elements about how QuickBooks has helped your client and bringing that in. And I think that's what it's about, isn't it? It's almost like, look, here are these amazing announcements. We'll get your opinion on those announcements in a minute. Hear those amazing announcements, but like, actually, let's think about what QuickBooks is already doing for us. Like, that's great that this stuff's coming, but what about now? Like, what's it doing now? And I think that's what you did really well. You kind of cemented about how great a tool QuickBooks is for clients, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something that I think so many accountants don't take advantage of. And I'll be honest, we don't take advantage of that with our whole client base either. Because it also depends on the client, how willing they are to communicate with you. There are some things that you can't control, right? If a client says, I don't want to speak to you, there's nothing you can do. But generally, once you're able to demonstrate what you can do, even the most difficult clients have been able to convert. And they're people that I thought never in a million years would agree to kind of the setup that we've got on and things like that. But, once they've seen the difference it made, they're so on the ball, and now they're following up with us. Like, where's my management accounts? It's been like 2 days. I should have them up there now. I want to see the reports. I want to see what's going on, things like that. So it's refreshing to see that things have, the tables have turned. But now clients are expecting a lot more. But I think that relationship has just become more cemented with them, and they understand how important it is now to speak to their accountants. And also now, with every decision they make, they're contacting us first. Usually we'd find out months after, right? Where we're trying to figure out, okay, what do we do now? It's already done. How do we fix this? But yeah, it's making things a lot more streamlined and a lot more easier to communicate with clients as well, and help them make better decisions for their businesses.
And ultimately, that's what we enjoy, isn't it? Like, as accountants, that's why we became accountants, wasn't it? It wasn't to file VAT returns and everything else. I've yet to find an accountant that really gets excited about that. We get about helping clients, don't we? So we've been given the tools to do that better, haven't we? As Paul said, you absolutely nailed it. So yeah, completely right.
Thank you.
And Marta, nice for you to join us. Your question we're going to cover at the end, if that's all right. We've got quite a bit to cover to begin with, but yeah, don't worry, we'll be making sure that we capture that. So we will be going there. All right, so let's think about it then. Quite a good segue then of what was actually announced there. So let's just get your thoughts on it. So first of all, practice management within QuickBooks Online. We were quite lucky, weren't we? We were able to go to an event prior to and see kind of what they were thinking about and everything else, and it was hinted at there, wasn't it? There was kind of like a hint, there was a little bit of sneak peek, but now we've had that. First of all, were you able to talk to the guys on the stand at QuickBooks itself? Will you be able to have a little play around with it at all? And
I
what's
haven't
your
had to play
initial
around
thought?
with it, to be honest. It's just been what I heard from the announcements and what we had an inkling of before. But I have to say, with practice management, it's something that kept going on and on and on, about with QuickBooks. I said to them, you've got all the data there, especially for those. So this will be more relevant for those that are QuickBooks only, right? I think those that have a mixture may or may not see it being as important as it would be to us, for example, because we're a QuickBooks online only firm. But it's ideal, we just log into one place, we've got everything there, all the data is there. They had, what they had before, kind of that view of like all jobs that are due and stuff like that. But when you've got a lot of clients, it just didn't work. So I'm looking forward to seeing exactly how it will work. I'm sure that the first release may not probably give us everything that we need, but it will be a case of ongoing development. But it is the ideal place, to be honest, to have everything for us anyway, because we won't need to go into all kinds of different software. We've got everything there ready to go, essentially.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a few terms they threw out there, wasn't it, like FMS now, financial management system. So QuickBooks are trying to change the word bookkeeping, and now we've got to call it financial management system. And they did say that this practice management solution will work with other financial management systems, but we all know that means it's going to be a very light touch, isn't it? It's very yes, it may connect to Xero, Free Agent, whatever it's going to be, but we're not going to get the same. But I think this really important for me was what you were saying before about that whole idea about clients having more communication with us. But if they don't quite have communication with us, then this tool should be that our secret sauce, if you like, for giving us the opportunity to see what's happening with clients, to be aware of problems, be aware of things that might be going wrong for them before we would normally find out. And I think that's the exciting thing, isn't it? Like the idea that they can look into, maybe tell us if there's a director's loan account that's gone overdrawn, or trade debtors that are going out of whack, whatever it's going to be. And I think that's where this excites me more than anything else. I don't know about you, but for our firm, changing our practice management is very scary. I don't think I can do that overnight or anything. I don't know if I want to. I think I'm really comfortable with the practice management solution I have at this moment in time. But I see this as powerful is maybe being something instead of something like Dexposition, something like that, and using it alongside our practice management solution to go from there. What's your thoughts on how it works in practice?
It would, I mean, similar to you, we've invested so much time and money into setting up our current practice management solution that the idea of changing again is a pretty, big task.
Very right.
And it's a painful one. It's not the easiest one. But as you said, something like precision, it would make sense because the data's all there. So why have a third-party app that can give you something that's there already? That would be ideal. Now, whether that's going to be included in our offering, I'm hoping it will be. But yeah, that would make a lot of sense and so much easier for us when we log in every day to have that dashboard there. I'm really big on dashboards. That's one of my main things with practice management, right? Because as practice owners, I don't have time to go into the detail line by line, see what's going on. I want a bird's eye view. Where are the issues? Because that's where I need to go into and fix if needed. Or just have a look at generally how we're doing and how we can improve. So that's one of the main things I would say for me. So having that information put into a dashboard and highlighted for you to then say, okay, you need to look at this. Ideal. Absolutely ideal.
And data that no other piece of software is going to be able to get for us because it's not as embedded. It doesn't have the options and APIs and everything to get there. Okay, so speaking of data, speaking of not quite a dashboard, but potential for a dashboard is the corporation tax and accounts module. Now, again, not only on the event, but we were again lucky enough to see a little preview of it beforehand as well. What's your thoughts on this area? So, the idea that we can complete our set of accounts directly within QuickBooks, the fact that we can then file a tax return directly from there. Now, premise it, or just to set everyone's expectations, the first initial release of this is going to be very, very kind of light touch. It's only going to do FRS 105 to begin with, but the idea is then that they've already got a roadmap, and later down the line there's going to be much more that we're going to be able to do with it. So what's your thoughts on this one? Is this something that would be interesting for your practice, or is this, do you think this is maybe more aimed at a smaller practice? What's your thoughts so far?
I think it can be a mixture. I mean, I would have loved this from the start, if possible, because the least amount of apps we can use, the better, you know, have everything in one place. But obviously I think that it will benefit mostly the smaller practices initially who have the smaller clients, so they'll be able to use it more fully than we would, for example, because we've got a mixture. But absolutely looking forward to trying it out, because it just means that all the information is there end to end. There's less chance for human error. Currently, you know, we'll export, and once you've exported, if you've made any changes, if someone forgets to go back in and update those changes on the data set in QuickBooks and things like that, it can be a nuisance. Maybe you won't find out until a year later, for example, when you're trying to, you know, get the next set of accounts ready and something's not adding up and it doesn't match. So things like that, it will be ideal for. But yeah, I think it will make a huge difference to the smaller practices initially. But depending on how fast they move with developments, you know, then we'll see more and more of the larger practices coming in.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for me, like, the biggest benefit out of all of this is it's forcing users to have another look at work papers again. Because I don't know about you, but work papers was huge for us as a practice. Like, that's the difference of us going from, you know, say a 10-hour job to a 5-hour job. It's literally that, you know, that different in terms of the way we'd be able to do work going forward, like halving working time. So I think anything to push people back into using that ecosystem and in there has got to be a good thing, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
Brilliant. And then final announcement really of any relevance was the payroll bureau solution. So the idea, again, FMS, so financial management solutions, means it's gonna you're going to be able to connect to anyone out there and have an opportunity there. It makes sense, doesn't it, that they were going to go for the payroll bureau solution. I mean, what about you? Do you guys use QuickBooks Payroll at all? Is it anything that you've been using for your client?
I'll be honest, we don't. We don't use the payroll for the reason that they didn't have the payroll bureau in place. I just couldn't afford. So we do payroll for 500 companies, and to go in individually with the old way that QuickBooks had it was just too long. It didn't make sense, you know. And this was one of the things I said, if you had the bureau, then I would definitely be on it, because again, it makes sense. You would do the payroll there, journals are there. It cuts so much time and human error out. But now that they've finally released it, that's something that we're gonna have to relook at and see, you know, is this an option actually to go back onto it? But we also have to consider the price, the costs involved, versus the benefits, obviously, of having everything in one place. But this is something, again, like the practice management, that I have been going on and on about, saying, please, I really need this. We really need this. So glad they're finally on it. But now it's just for us to make a decision on how long will it take to get everyone back on there, and the costs involved, and get clients used to another new system. Although they're already in QuickBooks, right? But it's a new way of receiving their payroll information again. And it takes time to get them on there anyway, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, for me, QuickBooks Payroll was always that solution where if the client wants to do their own, there's not much out there that's better than QuickBooks in terms of holding their hand and letting them be able to and hopefully get things right. But that's where, you know, I'm hoping that this new bureau solution does give us an opportunity to roll it out to more, like you said, more clients and let more clients use it. I'm not 100% confident yet that we can just wholesale move all of our clients over there. I think, like you said, there's too many unknowns at this point in time. But I can definitely see, especially our larger clients, larger payrolls, this solution is absolutely perfect for them. You know, the ability to be able to send out one link so that they can fill in the information and all that sort of stuff, and expense management and holiday management. And there is, you know, we might talk about it later today, but KeyPay, who's running the payroll solution in the back end, well, they've just renamed themselves now to Employment HR. So potential for more HR related stuff coming our way, that sort of stuff. I think that could be quite exciting, and it gives almost like a tiered approach, doesn't it? And it's almost like if you need that premium high end payroll solution, this probably is going to be best for your clients, isn't it?
Absolutely, but then consider that the majority of UK businesses may have 1 or 2 employees only. So how many people is this going to target? I see it as a benefit for us, as a bureau, if we're able to also submit everything in one go to HMRC. Time savings there, massive, from within QuickBooks. For clients, there are some that do their own. We do the majority, and I think that's probably what the majority of practices look like in the UK as well.
Exactly.
So not many of them, or hardly any of them, have any kind of HR advice or that premium service, and they don't understand that they need it. But maybe this is a way of trying to entice them to get onto that.
Yeah, hopefully, because like you said, it's something that's definitely needed, isn't it? So yeah, hopefully that's going to be the way forward. Wonderful. Okay, so that was QuickBooks Connect, 4th week on the trot that we talked about it, but I promise you it was worthwhile. So thank you for your input on that one, Ariana. So let's move over to the big news of the week, which was the spring statement, or I think they're calling it the back to work or back to work statement, or whatever, budget, whatever they were calling it. So basically it was very much a conservative, steady the ship announcement, which, if you'd have told me this time last or year before, or even the year before that, I'd have sat there rolling my eyes going, okay, wow, well, that was uneventful. But actually I think we need uneventful at this point in time with everything that happened this time last year and the mini budget and everything else that happened. So, maybe we should be kind of thankful that we're not having these full-blown changes that are then going to get U-turn later, etc. Maybe we do need to have this kind of steady the ship. Let's all calm down a little bit. Let's all kind of understand what's going on. But basically, Jeremy Hunt delivered his spring statement amidst the backdrop of cost of living crisis and the ongoing challenge of inflation. Basically, he says there's opportunity to be hopeful. He says we just missed out on the recession in 2023, or we should be missing out on the recession in 2023. Basically, he came out with some key statements. It was an hour long. The hour long was kind of fought with quite a bit of pettiness, I suppose, in some respects, that kind of jabs and everything else. We can tell we're coming up to start thinking about the next election, aren't we? You can tell that in the statement itself. It was very political, unfortunately. But let's talk about the key bits that could in fact impact our clients and the bits that we should be worried about, or at least mindful of. So the first one was small business investment allowance increased. The annual investment allowance for small business being increased to 1 million, means 99% of all businesses can deduct the full value of investment from the previous year taxable profit. And then the interesting one for me was super deduction is being replaced, and the super deduction is now going to it's going to end at this month. So I don't know about you, Ariana, but that was a huge incentive for our clients to do it. Super deduction in its essence was the ability, or was hoping to drive economy by making sure people were spending money, and we've definitely seen that. So so the fact that it's being replaced is a good thing. I'm not sure that it was replaced in the way we were hoping it to be replaced for, but we've got this new qualifying expenditure. Plant and machinery will have a temporary first year allowance, which for most of our clients would have fell under AIA anyway. So I suppose it's
expensing, as they're calling it, I believe, right?
Yeah, exactly. I suppose it's more confidence that AIA isn't disappearing more than anything else, isn't it? So super deduction being replaced or ending is a bad thing realistically for clients, but the ability there to have confidence that they can carry on an AIA is in all, or this new version of AIA is good to see. What's your kind of talk, or what have you been talking to clients about with this announcement so far? Is there anything that you've kind of told them to look out for? Is there kind of any tax planning you're doing with them? How have you kind of spoke to clients about this announcement?
To be honest, with the full expensing regime, as you've mentioned, the majority of clients fall within AIA anyway. Not many of them are going to spend over the £1 million. So that wasn't such a huge kind of difference for them. I guess the corporation tax confirmation that it is definitely going up is something that we're speaking to our clients more about, looking at profits this year before they hit the 1st of April, seeing how we can, if we can move profits more into this year and pay less of the tax essentially in the next year. But as you mentioned, there weren't too many changes. Obviously the pensions as well, pensions changes, that for some clients it will make a difference, again for the bigger clients, because not many people will be able to even put £40,000 into their pensions. Obviously that's the allowance has increased from 40 to 60, so for many that's not going to make a difference. For some it will, so seeing how they can utilize that to cut some of their income tax. But yeah, not too much from our side, to be honest, in what we can do.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like, for me, super deduction itself was a great incentive, and it was a conversation topic we had with near enough every client who was eligible. It's like, look, make the most of this. This is going to be something important. I think the way that they've kind of positioned this in terms of the budget was that don't worry about super deduction, because at the end of the day, we've brought in this brand new, super deduction replacement, this new way of being able to qualify for an expenditure and getting you 100% allowance first time. And because they're aiming that at the larger clients who are going to be at 25%. Yeah. So super deduction, 25%, it's the same thing for them, isn't it? Like, the whole point of super deduction was almost accelerating that so that you weren't holding back expenditure for that next year to get the benefit of it. It was to bring it in line now so that you didn't, you were accelerating it beforehand. But it just feels like that they're not giving anything to the small companies, the small businesses, and they always say that they're the backbone of the economy, and that, entrepreneurs are the ones that, going to get us out of this recession and going to make Britain great again and all this. That's what they're telling us, and that's what they want to say and want to put on the stages. And again, for when we look at the fact that we're coming up to the fact we're going to have a new look at who's the prime minister and everything else, then of course they're going to keep saying that. But when it comes to statement of fact and what they're actually doing in the budget, it doesn't seem that way, does it? Like, you mentioned their corporation tax. Yeah, it's going to go from 19 to 25%, and hopefully majority of our clients won't be affected, or at least will be limited in terms of that full 25%, and they should fit in between there for most of our clients. But that's a very, that's about the only shred of benefit they've got. And if anything, the new changes are disincentivizing probably some of our most important clients, like those entrepreneurs who have multiple businesses. Nowadays, if you have multiple businesses, you are disadvantaged. You're going to have to pay more corporation tax because of the new rules and everything else that come in. So, yeah, it was very difficult, wasn't it, to see many positives for our clients. I mean, what do you tell them at this point to keep them like?
Well, a lot of them are disappointed because with the super deduction tax, for example, we had some clients that actually went and bought machinery, which they never would have if it wasn't for that, because they thought, actually, I get the relief more than I've spent, because it was 130%, and this is something that will help me grow this area of my business, which I was hoping to do, but I couldn't afford to. And we've seen some clients actually grow exponentially as a result of that. So they've taken on new plant and machinery. They're able to now provide more services and things like that. And they have grown, a lot. We've seen some, especially in the construction sector, we've seen them go from 1 million to 3 million turnover because they had that capacity and the ability to create new service lines. But now they're going to push back their investments because it's not as attractive. Whereas if that was still in place, you never know. Maybe it could have been, another incentive to keep going and keep growing and keep taking on employees and staff, which again will help the economy, get people out of unemployment as well. But yeah, with this now, as we mentioned, it's not really going to change anything that in terms of expense wise with the annual investment allowance. So no one's really going to go over the million. So at this point, it's like, well, what's the point in buying anything else? It's not as attractive as it was. So we're kind of just looking more into, rather than tax planning, business development, seeing which areas of the business are doing well, which areas can, they need to spend less on because it's not making as much profit and things. So more looking into what are they doing to get as much income out as possible from current activities, which is a shame. It's a shame because, the super deduction tax made a huge difference to our clients and we saw a massive growth.
Yeah, I think your point there about, what it was meant to do, it was meant to increase expenditure now, spend now, don't save the money, let's try and build on the economy, let's help the economy. But your point there about actually encouraging growth and helping clients go from 1 million to 3 million, well, to me, that would be a great incentive for people to carry on having super deduction for the smaller businesses. Like, if you are in the 19% category still, then here is an extra incentive to go and try and build your business so that maybe next year or year after you'll be in a higher rate of corporation tax. That to me sounds like a great incentive, a great carrot on the stick, doesn't it, to bring it through? So I think you've absolutely smashed it there in terms of what we would have liked to have seen, to at least have an opportunity to be positive and to go through from there. But unfortunately, we weren't given that. There was some other announcements. 12 new investment zones introduced.
Yes.
The Chancellor wants to create Canary Wharf investment zones across 12 areas in the UK, and each investment zone will receive 80 million in funding. It's great saying this, isn't it? But I think the idea of trying to replicate Canary Wharf outside of London is very ambitious, isn't it? I mean, Canary Wharf was so successful because it was in London. And we've got some great places in the UK, but we only have one London, don't we? So
that's true. But one thing I would say though is that this may be more successful than it would have been other years with COVID. How more people are working outside of London now. There's a lot less commuting. You'll see maybe on a Thursday London is packed because everyone's coming in 1 day a week into London, but the rest of the days it's pretty much empty because everyone's working from home. So now, if they don't have to make that journey, and you'll see even property prices in other areas outside London have started to go up because it's not as important now to be near a train station where you need to go into London for work.
Yeah.
So possibly they could do something. Now, whether it will be the Canary Wharf, not sure about that. But we'll see.
I mean, it is good. I mean, I know in the East Midlands we've got a Freeport area that's where this investment's going in. The idea then is it's supposed to be, because we've got an airport, we've got good train links and stuff like that, and it's literally 30 minutes down the road from me down there. So, I can see that going to be a good boost for the local area. I can see the benefits there. I just can't see it being on scale as Canary Wharf. But I suppose they're trying to attract different people there, aren't they? Canary Wharf was supposed to be that financial district and everything else, whereas the Freeport we've got down here is more about getting Amazon in there and getting all those sort of opportunities. So, I can definitely see that's going to be a small benefit. But I do feel like that one is very much a case of, again, tick the box of, this is a
this is something. The other thing that I would say though is the younger generation now that are leaving uni and or just finishing up their qualifications or starting work, they have different expectations to other generations. So for example, I grew up expecting that I would want to go into London. I'm going to expect a long commute. I'm going to, all of these things. Now they're more focused on quality of life. If I would like to be able to work closer to home or from home ideally, and not have to go out and spend all my life basically on commutes and things like that. So as more people will kind of be staying in those areas, again, I think that may possibly help.
Yeah, I think you're right there. And I think having that encouragement for them or opportunity for them is probably going to, because it will change when like you said, there's going to be a whole different aspect work-life balance going forward, which is a positive.
Yeah.
There was 3 quick ones. Fuel duty cut renewed for another year, so that support's going to be maintained, which is good to see. As you already mentioned, lifetime allowance on pensions abolished, and also 40 to 60k. I do feel like that's one of the few aspects of this that will be benefiting to clients in terms of, if they are cash rich, that is a great way for them to get some tax benefits going forward, which is nice to see.
But again, if I could just interject there with that, that's only benefiting the rich. How many people are going to be saving? So obviously before there was £1 million, it was £1,027,000 or something like that, or £1,070,000 was the limit. How many people are going to go above that generally? So this is just a great incentive for the rich more than anything else to just save a hell of a lot of money in tax.
Yeah, exactly. Because those calculations and those charges were obscene at times. So yeah, you're right. The fact that they've it's only going to benefit them ones is very, very frustrating. Energy support extended by 3 months. So yeah, again, it's great to see that that's going to be there. And then I suppose the only other bit that could affect our clients, but we've still got to figure out the detail really, is the new R&D adjustment. So the fact there is this new R&D tax credit coming out. I think for me, like, I love R&D. I always have done. I think R&D is one of those great incentives to really encourage small businesses or any business out there to do that investment, to look at research and development, to go through that sort of aspect of it, to basically think of something outside the box. I love that incentive. And for the UK, we need that because it does bring a lot of opportunities to the UK. It brings a lot of businesses that we would not necessarily get. So it is good. I just feel like, because of all the bad eggs out there, R&D has become much more of a difficult tax and a difficult incentive to get for small businesses now for our sort of clients. And this is supposed to replace it. I just don't feel like it's replaced it enough. Again, we don't know all details yet. We've got to properly sit down. I know, for example, ICAW, their update on this is until I think a month away, actually, 20th of April, which we'll be able to kind of get more details of it, etc. So it is still very much question marks at the moment, isn't it, as to exactly what this means. It sounds good on paper. Do we believe that these days? I suppose that's what we've got to be mindful.
This is the thing, like, how is it going to be policed? Because we've seen, what's happened with R&D in the last year. It has been an absolute mess. People getting paid out straight away who maybe didn't have a legitimate claim, and those who have are waiting over a year or more and not getting anything. And then anybody allowing to just apply, that there isn't a way of ensuring that whoever is applying on your behalf actually knows what they're doing, and the fees that they're taking are massive. So actually, how much is the end user actually getting? Because I've seen some companies taking 50% of the claim.
50%. Wow.
Yeah, so it ranges. I've seen clients come to me with, I'm working with this particular company, this is how much they're taking. So how much has the end user actually benefited? And at the end of the day, if HMRC believe that it was a fraudulent claim, which, let's face it, the business owner doesn't really understand what's fraudulent or what's not, because they're relying on an expert to do it. They're the ones that have all the comeback, and they're the ones that are getting into trouble. So yeah, I just see it as something that's continuing, essentially, with that, unless they can come up with something to give some of that money to the actual business, rather than these other companies that we're seeing taking a lot of that.
Yeah. Like we needed that breakdown. We needed that whole idea, don't we, of making sure that we have a fair system. Like, you're right. I mean, I've not seen as high as 50% before, but that is absolutely crazy. But it just, I mean, again, we don't know the full details, and maybe we'll learn more in the next coming months and stuff. But it just doesn't seem like this is enough of a for those legitimate businesses. It doesn't seem like this is enough of a replacement for them at this point in time. It seems still very restrictive, very much it's going to affect a very small proportion of the recent R&D, again, legitimate R&D claimants out there. So yeah, it's a worry, isn't it, that we've got to kind of completely and utterly change the way that we're doing things now because of the eggs. But yeah, maybe it is time for more of a police, more of a kind of opportunity for us to take more accountability as a accounting profession. So yeah, hopefully it's lessons learned, but we'll see. Devil in the detail, though, there was a little bit of an update on kind of things that were coming out that weren't announced. So we got a new crypto box or crypto tick box going forward. So it looks like if you're going to be putting crypto through for a client in terms of their capital allowance, their capital gains, etc., then there's a new box you've got to tick to say there's crypto involved by the looks of it.
Okay.
It's very small update, but it could be quite significant, couldn't it? I mean, how's from your client point of view, how because I suppose the only benefit, I'm just thinking this out loud, is that the only benefit I can see of this is that it gives us as accountants a justification for having to charge that little bit extra. Because I don't know about you, but crypto is a very time consuming and expensive. Yeah.
Massively, especially when the clients don't actually keep the records and they're trading a lot and you don't know which is for which. I have had a spreadsheet sent to me before with a million different coins, all dates put together. You don't know what was purchased when, and trying to sort through that is actually way more than the work we were doing in total for them before. So yeah, definitely. I see your point in that, how it can be a great way of us justifying that cost and that time.
Because we've got a new box to tick that, yeah. Apart from that, I think, you can understand that the government's trying to crack down on it. They want to see it in more logistical, like what's happening and everything else. So, yeah, you can kind of see this as it. And what it will probably do is, if that box is ticked, they're going to have a higher likelihood of being investigated. I assume this is where it's going to come down to, isn't it? So, we'll see. We'll see what happens on that one. I don't know though. I don't know. It's these little sneaky little boxes that appear out of nowhere. Just accept them and everything else. No real guidance that goes with them. It's why accountants are around, isn't it? It's our job to figure it out and go from there. So let's look at it overall then. I think we're both on kind of the same page here. It seems like, yes, there's a steady of the ship. Yes, it doesn't look like there's going to be kind of any U-turns or anything. But I think our expectations, or at least our hopes, was there was more support for our type of clients. I think that's what we were hoping for, wasn't it?
Yeah, for the smaller business.
That did we? And yeah, I mean, I don't know. What's your overall opinion? What is your message you're going to be telling clients about this going forward? Is it, is it kind of same as before, or is there any difference that you've had from this particular budget?
To be honest, there's not much difference and not much that's going to affect our clients, and that's exactly what I'll be putting forward to them. So we're going to be discussing more of, okay, we know what we're expecting tax-wise, what the government has put in place. There isn't much support. Let's look more deeper into your business to see if there is anything we can extract. Encouraged to see whether there is a way of them trying to get involved in R&D or possible investments, but the majority right now who are a bit strapped for cash will probably not be that interested. So it's going to be more focusing on what can we do to help the business other ways, because the government is not doing too much right now. But at least, as you said, it's stable. I feel more confident in speaking to them and telling them this than we did last year, where it was like, this is what's happening today, but it may change tomorrow. So we'll wait and see. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, it was so nice to be able to talk to them and say, that 25% corporation tax, that's gone now. We don't need to worry about that. That was a good thing. That was positive. But it was much more damaging because then we had to reverse that again and have the conversations again. So.
Yeah. So no, we were just joking that it's not actually reducing, it's going back up. That wasn't the nicest conversation, I have to say.
No, not at all. But I do feel like overall we've just got to have those conversations, and we've got to look at the way we deliver our services for clients as well. We very much are one of those that would like what we try and put as much estimates in terms of corporation tax estimate bills and all that sort of stuff into our management accounts and everything else. Well, now we've got to be prudent with it, and is it 19%, or is it 25%, or is it a mixture of the two? You know, what
Yeah.
there's sort of things that we've got to do, and we've got to have conversation with clients about, isn't it? But yeah, it's, again, unfortunately, it does feel like our type of clients are the ones that don't get the support at the moment. So yeah, it's just, it is what it is, isn't it? Unfortunately. Wonderful. All right. Well, I think that was overall. We did get one question from Instagram. Mr. Boss, of all people, said this. It says, the budget always seems way too complicated. I have a small construction business in plain English. How will the budget affect me? And I think we've really covered that, haven't we?
Yeah.
AIA, super deduction is going to be quite a significant loss, unfortunately. And you've just got to be careful of that corporation tax. You know, it's not going to be straightforward as just 19%.
No.
We don't know the size of your business. We don't know anything else, but we would imagine a construction industry to probably hit between 20, 21, 22%, something like that they're going to hit.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've just got to be prepared. Ultimately, if you can save 25%, then hopefully that means you got a bit of a savings at the end that you can spend on something else potentially. So it's going to be a tricky one going forward to at least put those in place. All right, let's what we got. We've got 10 minutes, so let's just quickly go through some of the other news of the week. So one of the big ones I found and I thought was really quite exciting was Google and Microsoft released their updates to their solution. So you think of Office 365, so you've got Windows, you've got Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Google's equivalent of that. Both of them have basically come along and showed how Chat GPT can be integrated beautifully into them. So, I mean, this was really impressive, the demos they were doing. We've not yet to play with it, so maybe the demos was kind of well overstated, and maybe, you know, but the end goal was absolutely brilliant, especially on the Office 365, the Microsoft side of things. Their Chat GPT implementation to Excel, and they're calling it Copilot is their term, was out of this world. You know, it took some data, it analyzed this data for you, and was honestly giving results that some of my staff won't be able to do. You know, it was that impressive in terms of what they were doing.
It was super impressive.
It was crazy, wasn't it?
Say, when I saw the demo and I was looking into it, and you know, you could just ask it any question like, what is the general trend in this data set and things like that, and it would come up with everything you need in seconds. It was unbelievable. The only issue I would say for us is we've done so much in moving away from Excel to softwares like QuickBooks and so on, where I'm thinking now, like, what do we do? Because I don't really want to go back to Excel, but if Excel is providing things like this, these kind of trends,
you can't ignore it, can you?
Honestly, I'm just thinking the only thing we would be able to do is export to Excel just to get an idea of what the trends are. But again, it kind of negates what we've tried to do, though. But it was really, really impressive.
Maybe this becomes another selling point for QuickBooks Advanced with this new Excel add-on that they've got. Because I think a lot of us looked at that Excel add-on going, oh, that's great. But like you said, we're moving away from Excel. So yeah, maybe they were, you know, chess game on us and they were 2 steps ahead. And this is the real reason they've implemented something. But yeah, I mean, the technology is just out of this world. Like, and it really is impressive. And I think it's going to come to that point where, you know, for certain applications, you're going to have this to keep relevant and keep up to date. You know, even just their PowerPoint solution, you know, the idea that they could help you put in most of the features within there. There was this really good point where, you know, most people only use 10% of what PowerPoint can actually do, and I'm certainly going to be down that. You know, I'm adequate with PowerPoint, but I don't use all the features there. If I've got a little solution that's going to tell me those features and just implement it for me, makes sense, doesn't it? We get more PowerPoint presentations and everything else that's with it. So yeah, I can definitely see this being a great tool. And I think the idea of putting it, you know, Chat GPT is itself just asking questions is fine, and that works. But actually, that secret sauce is when it's just working seamlessly with the software you're already using. That's the cleverness, isn't it? So what's your thoughts of it kind of coming into the rest of the accounting world then? So QuickBooks had it, didn't they? What do you think it'll ever catch on? What's your thoughts?
I think it will, and it should. You know, I think, again, with other technology, this is not going to replace us. What I see it doing is giving us more time once we found out what the trends are, let's discuss this with the client. What does it mean for your business? So again, it's helping us build that relationship with the client.
Yeah.
Something that we've all studied for, right? We didn't study to copy things out and add things up. We studied, we've got this set of accounts. This is what it looks like. This is how we translate it. And then what does that mean for your business? And what can we do going forward based on the results that we see? So I think it's pushing us more to think outside of the box ourselves, and understand our clients better and spend that time and build those relationships with them. Time which many accountants do not have currently because they are still focused on, I need to get the figures together.
Exactly.
Yeah. So once that kind of disappears, then all that knowledge that is sitting in our brains, right? Because we deal with all kinds of businesses and all kinds of industries, and where we have so much knowledge that we don't realize we have. So if you just tap into that, it's just a conversation. I've noticed myself when we started to have more time and just speak to clients and say, how's business going? And they'll start talking to us, and these are the issues we have, and we have this issue. You automatically think of other industries or other clients, even in the same industry, how they're overcoming them and helping that business make a change. So this is where I think we provide the real value to the business, and softwares like this, like ChatGPT as well, will give us that time to do that. But I think people are scared, of what will this mean? Will this mean that I'm no longer am I no longer needed because a piece of software can do this? And this is the issue we had when we first went digital. We lost the majority of our staff that we started the journey with for this exact reason. Oh, you're going to introduce software, you'll get somebody who's fresh out of uni who knows nothing, and they'll be able to use the software as well, and they will do the same job that we do. And in actual fact, no, I want your experience. I want to tap into that and use that to help clients. So it's just a different way of looking at it. And I think anyone who looks at it this way will make a huge difference to their business, their own business, and their clients as well.
Yeah, and I think we bring this back right to where we first started. Like Joe Lawn was on the main stage. I mean, the main stage more than anyone. QuickBooks Connect. She was on that stage. She made the joke about ChatGPT wrote the first part for her, didn't she? Like that was her kind of part of the opening intro. But actually, it wasn't about the cool technology. It was the fact that she was then adding a human element to that. And I think what you just said there, I think she summed that up perfectly, didn't it? Like this is where we're coming from now. We can have all the best technology in the world, and that's going to empower us to then take some human element, be able to bring our aspect to it, and basically be able to make sense of it all. And I think, like you've said there, that's the future of what accountancy looks like. And I think that's quite exciting, isn't it?
Absolutely. And if I give you an example of not even necessarily accountancy related, but how accountants can use ChatGPT. So we tried it out when we had a Zoom meeting with the client, and we took the script from the meeting, put it into ChatGPT and said, summarize the main points out of this meeting. And it did it within a few seconds. Some of them were duplicated in a different way, but basically it got the gist of what we need to do next. Now, that could have taken somebody a lot longer to figure out and go through all of that, make sure you've made the right notes. What do we, it just gave it to you straight away. So actually all we've done is we haven't got rid of ourselves. We've found out, right, this is what we need to do. Let's get on it straight away. Those hours that we could have wasted trying to figure out what we need to do, we know what we need to do, get on with it. So we're just replacing that. And that's non-accountancy related. But there are areas like this that actually it can help out massively with us in all areas of our business, not just the numbers.
Yeah, well, ultimately that's going to get a better client relationship, isn't it? Like if they can walk away with that meeting and have all those points already there for them in a follow-up email or however you want to produce that information to them, that's huge, isn't it? Like that's going to be a game changer. So I can't wait for this technology to start rolling out. We've already tried to get it kind of working in our practice, but I think it's there's certain bits that aren't quite working yet, etc. It's all beta, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
But we've seen it kind of being in QuickBooks already. There was that whole kind of robot that was talking to us and everything else. So like you said, it's definitely starting to come along. It's definitely in its infancy, but we'll see how it progresses. Wonderful. All right, we'll finish off then on a couple of questions that came in. First of all, Marta said the following: how to record historical VAT payment for the VAT return file before I started to use QuickBooks. This is the VAT from 2020, which I'm still paying by monthly installment. I found that I could record it as an expense, but how to create a VAT return and mark it as filed to match those monthly payments to it. Well, basically, Marta, what you want to be doing is going to your tax section within QuickBooks on the left-hand side, and then what you can do there is you can actually convert or take off MTD if you've already got MTD turned on, put it to non-MTD, and you'll be able to file them there. What you can also do now is unfile them as well. So if you have maybe filed something up to this date, you'll be able to unfile, go back, reinstate them, and then you can just record as payments from there from it. So QuickBooks has actually had a nice little update that makes it easier for you to do. But if there is any issues, problems, head over to my YouTube channel. I've done a whole video on how to reconcile your VAT return going forward. So yeah, go from there. Anything to add on that one, Ariana? I think that's...
No, I think you covered that extremely well.
Cool. I'll pass you this one then. So Harry says, my uncle was supposed to register for VAT in November, but will do it in March. Does he need to pay any fines?
So potentially, but where we've seen issues like this, where we've got the bookkeeping quite late for clients and found that they passed the VAT threshold ages ago, still happens. Then once the date of registration should really be the date that they cross, and you do one big VAT that covers all of that income. We haven't seen any penalties personally yet. As long as we have shown that we've actually added all the income and it's all been paid on time, there may be, I can see interest being added for it being paid late, but so far we haven't seen any penalties. So as long as you demonstrate that you are putting everything in that from November, then you should be fine. In HMRC, it's quite interesting at the moment. In some areas, they're really understanding. In other areas, they're really not. But this is one so far they've been okay with. So it's just demonstrating you've got all of that information and, should be okay. But you never know. You never know. It depends on the inspector, I think. But yeah, so far we haven't had any. I don't know if you have, Aaron.
No penalties wise, we've been really lucky as well. Like no penalties. I think having an accountant sometimes helps. I think that's one of the ones where we've been able to say, look, we're taking over this going forward, and because we always work with our clients if anything like this happens, and we've always said, that we're going to be implementing systems and controls to make sure the tax returns are paid on time or VAT returns are paid on time and completed correctly. So yeah, that sometimes helps, and I think that's why probably we're not seeing those penalties. I think the only thing what kind of listening to kind of outside of the accountants world and people on forums and stuff, I think unfortunately VAT is one of those areas where it was a choice at the beginning of your business to go VAT register or not, and that 85k 87k threshold was designed to be something that once you cross it, then you don't have a choice, and they are being very strict on that. And I think in the past, if you'd have gone to with this sort of scenario in the past, you may have been able to go and say and look at the fact that they might have just slapped you on the wrist and says, well, don't worry about it, you can start your VAT return from now because you've told us and we've not found it, and that's gone of those days, aren't they?
Yeah, we don't risk that. We don't risk that anymore. Exactly the same. We were able to do that before, but no, now I don't advise anybody to do that anymore. I'll say you need to put everything in that return from the date you cross, just in case, so that if you do get investigated, you're able to demonstrate it was an error, I didn't realize, but when I did, I've paid my dues essentially.
Exactly. Yeah, so unfortunately I think that's the world we live in at this point in time. So yeah, hopefully from there, fingers crossed for you, Harry, you don't get any penalties. That's what we all hope for you. But yeah, do go back from November and put it onto the return and you should be absolutely fine. And there we have it. Ariana, thank you so much. It's been a bit of royalty on today. I've been very honoured to have you come along with it. Give us your thoughts on the world of the budget itself and your experience at QuickBooks Connect. So massive thank you for coming along. So do you want to tell everyone again how they can find you? Anything that's any plugs you want to do? Anything you want to talk about going forward?
Well, no, thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure speaking to you this morning. I can be found on all socials, so Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, on our website as well, majorsaccounts.com. So you'll find me as my name is written here, and Majors Accounts, which is my firm as well, on all social media channels as well, as I've mentioned before.
And we're told that Ask the Expert is not dead. So we should be seeing you on Ask the Expert at some point. Who knows where?
I hope so. Missed it. It's been a while.
Definitely. Yeah, and don't worry, I'll be fighting your corner as well to get that back as well, because I think the more we can get ourselves back on those sort of channels, the better, isn't it? I've got one personal plug for everyone. So what day is it? Is it Tuesday or is it Wednesday? Head over to Accounting Web. There is a session that myself, Tom, and Deshanti is going to be talking about how basically the world of software at the moment, and looking into software trends, what we're focusing our efforts on, and what to look out for when looking at new software. So I think it's going to be a really good one. Their Tech Pulse with Tom Herbert's series. So yeah, do listen out to that one. I can't remember if it's Tuesday or Wednesday. It's one of the 2 days anyway. But yeah, hopefully I don't miss it. Don't log on all day. But no, I highly recommend that one. It's a great series. And we'll be looking forward to giving our insights in the world of software at this point in time. And again, thank you very much, Ariana. It's been an absolute honor to have you on. We've got some great feedback from the community as well, so thank you. And as Paul did say, you absolutely nailed it at QuickBooks Connect, so thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. All right, and that's it. So we'll be back at the normal time of 8:30 on next Monday, with Johann coming back, probably tanned at this point, as he's been away for 2 weeks, unfortunately. Not jealous one bit at all. Remember, our podcast goes live on a Wednesday, so keep an eye out for that one. And we will see you all soon at the next time that we go live. So cheers, everybody. Thank you very much, and have a great week.